that we don't allow people who believe Satan's real. Yeah, that may be the Church of Satan. The Church of Satan may do shithead stuff like that, but don't blame LaVey for it. That's the point we want to get across.
Yep, because when LaVey was there, he didn't have that same philosophy, or at least not until later years. He had different groups doing different things, and even some of the groups that he had in the Church of Satan, you wouldn't have expected them to be there, because LaVey let anybody into the group except for, I think, what was it, hippies? That he could not stand hippies, was it? That's the only people that he really kind of discouraged from being involved in the Church of Satan.
Well, he couldn't stand hippies, but from some of the accounts that Michael Aquino's talked about, apparently there were some hippie-minded grottos that existed under LaVey. Whether he liked it or not, he still let them exist. Because I do remember Aquino talking about him as part of his priestly duties going visiting to check in on a grotto.
Yeah.
And when he went to check in on the grotto, even Aquino felt that it was strange and out there and kind of out of key for the Church of Satan, but the guy who ran this grotto, who had achieved, because for those of you who don't know, in the Church of Satan, you didn't have to be a priesthood. You didn't have to be a priest or part of the priesthood to run a grotto. You just had to be second-degree membership. You had to be a warlock, is what it was called. And this guy, I don't believe he was a priest. If I'm wrong, I really might be, so don't blame me if I'm wrong. But he was either second degree or priesthood. I'm pretty sure he was second degree, a warlock, and he ran a grotto to where when Michael Aquino came to visit the grotto, they, well, that's something else you probably would, well, I don't know, some of you guys might not expect this, but back in the day, way back then, these people took that stuff seriously in the early 70s. They took it very seriously. And, so they received Aquino and a bunch of pomp and ceremony and all that, and Aquino attended one of their rituals, and Aquino was shocked. And for those of you out there listening who think that the Church of Satan and LaVey has always crushed traditional Satanists, listen to this. Aquino said that this ritual he went to, this is a grotto of the Church of Satan, in the early 70s. The entire ritual was him sitting down on the floor. Everyone in the room sat down on the floor on a cushioned pillow while the leader of the group sat in front of a candle and read the Al-Jallah out loud and then passed a cup around. And it was a really laid-back, peaceful, hippie-type setting. Aquino thought it was weird, but he didn't say anything wrong. And here's the other thing, too, is Aquino apparently, at least at that point, had a certain mindset, kind of like what we're talking about. Aquino even said he didn't think it was right for the Church of Satan mindset to be so laid-back and hippie. But these people obviously believed in and respected Satan. This is a ceremony in respect of Satan. So Aquino held his tongue and didn't say anything bad towards these people and was nothing but respectful.
Yeah,
because they're doing a ritual in honor of Satan, and that's the point. Even Aquino said it was not his cup of tea. Basically, that wasn't the way he liked to worship Satan. He thought it was kind of weird to worship Satan that way. But the point is that what they were doing, they did nothing disrespectful towards Satan, and that's the point. And that's the point we want to get across with this show. Is that as long, what we want to try to show people is that you can be a Satanist without having to be like whoever the fuck it is out there on the internet tells you to be. Be yourself and worship Satan. Worship Satan and be yourself. That's the point.
Yeah. We talked about that earlier. Actually, it was last night, I think. We were talking about how Satanists will go around and say, I'm an individual. I refuse to be a conformist. But yet they'll all wear the same T-shirt. They'll all wear the same color clothes. They'll all, fall into this, I do it because this guy did it. and we all have to wear makeup, and we all have to have the dark imagery, and the girls have to have their hair exactly the same way. And it's not that those things are bad. I'm not knocking anybody because for me personally, I kind of like the Gothic image, so I'm cool with it. But the point I'm trying to make is that if you're supposed to be an individual, if somebody goes out of their way to be different from that standard stereotype, then isn't that what Satan's supposed to represent? So should we be knocking them for being different? And I can think of times where I've been guilty of this before, where I've said, well, why does that person never wear black? Why does that person always wear different colors? Why don't they wear black like the rest of us and wear a big pentagram? And I literally have come down on members before in the past. But you're not wearing black. What's wrong with you? And I'm starting to look at things differently and say, hey, if Satan's all about individuality and about freedom, why are we doing that to people? Why are we saying you have to fit this certain mold or you're not one of us? If we're all about, trying to be unique. And I've been guilty of it. And but one thing I do want to say about that before I go on to something else is if you're part of a coven and the coven policy is that our members wear black, if you want to be a part of that coven, you should follow that coven's rules. Otherwise, go somewhere else. But by the same token, the leaders of that coven should not be telling you that if you don't want to conform to their beliefs, that you're not a Satanist. What they should tell you is, look, it's not right for you here. Maybe you need to find somewhere else to go. That's how it should be. But if you're a part of a coven and they have specific rules, and you want to be a part of that coven, then you probably should try to conform. It's just the respectful thing to do. Otherwise, move on and go somewhere else.
Well, what I would say is that when you're picking a coven to join, there should never have to be any sort of conforming, because you should only pick a coven that resonates with you. That's the point. I mean, if you pick a group, it shouldn't be because your friend's a member of that group. It shouldn't be because someone from that group has been talking to you. Is that when you pick a group, you should pick a group that when you look at that group and you look at what they teach and you're like, that's for me. That's for me. That's what I want to do. That's when you join. That's when you join because you want to be a part of it. Because, from the experience of being someone who runs a group, is that when someone joins, and then when someone joins, and after they join, they're like, well, I don't know about this or that. I'm not down with this or that. Man, that wastes everybody's damn time. So that's something I want to say to everybody out there, is that before you join a church, a group, a coven, or whatever, check out everything about them, everything what they're about, everything they teach, and if you don't agree with it, just don't join, and don't feel pressure to, because here's the thing, is look, your relationship with Satan as a Satanist is only between two people. It's between you and Satan. It's between you and Satan. Satan is eternal. He's lived before these people who run this group were alive, and Satan will still be there after them.
Yep,
you don't. It doesn't.
I agree with that. I just want to say something else too about if you want to join a group, don't be fooled into joining a group because some leader will tell you, oh, I have this secret knowledge that no other group possesses. That in most cases that's not true, and 99.9% of the time it's not true. Join a group because you like what they're about. Join a group because you like the people. You like the rituals they perform. Most of the stuff about magic, most of the supposed secrets that you're supposed to be being taught can be found in a book in any bookstore. The problem is not that the knowledge is not available. The problem is that people nowadays don't have the discipline to practice the practices that are necessary to actually be proficient magicians. It is not the teacher, it is the student's lack of ability to actually discipline themselves to practice the meditations and the exercises. Almost everything you need to know about magic has already been revealed in some book somewhere. If it's worth anything, that is.
Yeah, exactly. And, one thing I want to add to that is the thing is before you believe anybody's claim about knowing something that no one else does, some ancient tradition. I'm sorry if some of you are listening who believe this, and to be honest, hopefully listeners don't believe this. But look, here's the thing, is if you do have any weird ideas or something you want to believe that there is that the true magic, the true occult knowledge is some ancient thing that's been hidden for centuries and passed down from group to group and from individual to individual, and that it's something that you have to find a real initiate to find out about, and it's some ancient secret thing that someone has to approve you to learn,